I gotta see when I get my shit back.
What up? What up?
This shit up here, Rob.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
What up? What up? Oh, damn, y'all niggas deep up in here. What's up? What's up, y'all? What's up? We waiting on Don to call on in. We got my guy, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is handling the phones tonight, so we not gonna do no harassing of Don, no none of that stuff. You know, this is gonna be grown folks conversation. Just real grown folks conversation. You know, let me see here. All right. I'll get that over here.
It ain't worth it.
All right, copy that. Send this over here done. Okay, we on chat 5, man. We trying to get Don on the stream and everything. What up? What up? What up? What up?
Best price to. No, that's what I'm saying.
Keisha Bo. Oh shit, that shit. She look like she could be an assistant right there.
Trade
Hey. Hey man, y'all up in here clowning already. Where Texas Black Diamond at? Should tell her I'm texting her over the stuff. I'm texting her over everything. Waiting on Sharon to get up in here too. I just sent the link to Don Russell to invite him on up in there. Oh, that's how you do that. Hey, I just sent you over a link. I'm sending you over something else right now. See her. So copy that. Copy that. Okay.
$300.
Shit, let's see. Just back down. Okay, we sending that over. So, hey, I sent Don the link. Nah, I ain't buffering. Who said that? What's going on, Melissa Renee?
How did you see your?
Oh yeah, she could definitely be an assistant. She can definitely be an assistant. Let's see her. Okay. See her. Okay. We got him up in the house tonight. Okay.
When you can trade.
Y'all love this one right here. This one right here say that it's supposed to get dropped.
I'm about to leave about this one.
This one right here say that it's supposed to get dropped. Yeah, hit them like buttons. You know, like, share, subscribe, all of that. Let me see. Get one more over here. One more. See this. And here we go, right here. Here we go. Basically, so while we waiting on Don to get up in here, what we gonna do is we're gonna take a walk down, memory lane and stuff.
Yeah.
What's going on, Trinity? So, let's see here. Start the score.
Automatic interest rates. Next one. Fuck this shit. I'm going down.
All right, so y'all can see me. Let's see here. So,
just down.
Let's see here.
No, not yet. I'm for it. Let's see. I'm finna play with this thing.
Or chip. So, y'all see that? All right, here we go. So hey, y'all gotta bear with me. Shit, I'm trying to. Okay, here it go. Here it go. Right here. Sure. So, okay. So, if y'all can see this right here, this is the LA Times right here, right? And basically, when you go through this article, this is what this whole case is contingent off of, right? Because right here, you got basically, man, this tells you where this whole entire case came from. And when you start looking at it, right here in the second paragraph, it says, let me put this right here. The prosecution's key witness in the trial of the singer R. Kelly on child pornography charges told jurors about 3 sexual encounters she had with Kelly and the alleged victim in the case. Under just 1 hour of testimony, Lisa Van Allen, 27, also identified Kelly and the alleged victim on the videotape that is the centerpiece of evidence in the trial. Kelly, who was 17 when she first, Van Allen, who was 17 when she first met Kelly, testified a sexual encounter with the underage girl in 98, 99, and 2000. 2 of those encounters were videotaped, she said, though neither one of those tapes were at the center of this case. So we're going to leave from right here. We're going to type in Lisa Van Allen birthday. Let's see here. Let's see what would be see here. Okay. So basically, we're going to look this up. Lisa Van Allen, who turned 21, who turned 28. According to the 28, girl, please. That ain't it. That, she be lying about her age. We're going to go and find us a chick birthday. We're gonna go and find her age.
Let me try to buy some of that and trade this shit. Let me just buy some of this shit and see if I can trade it.
Let's see here. We're gonna go find this little chick age, because this age changes depending on who she's talking to. That's a bullshit lace front that she wearing right there. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. But that lace front, she knew better than that, child. She knew better than to wear that goddamn lace front. But I'll continue. However, y'all think she older than? Let's find out how old Lisa is. Let's figure this one out. We wants to know. We wants to know how old Lisa is. So
Applicant block for
we put it
creator from developer tools.
Oh, there ain't nobody. All right, so we're gonna go up in here and figure out. Oh, man. What's going on? We got Auntie Faze in the house. All right.
No, I didn't
see her background check. We need to see her. Lisa Van Allen. What city she live in, y'all? Let's see here. Who wants to do a background check? I'm gonna say that this is Lisa Van Allen. What y'all think? let's see. Let's see. I want to see. I want to say that this is Lisa Van Allen. And she got a criminal record. Let's see what she got in her criminal record. Operating a motor vehicle without lights. Okay, she got a small claim judgment. I'm gonna say that this is, Lisa Van Allen. This is who we looking for. But right here it say that she 39. So in 98, because I got to find her birthday, y'all. We need to find this birthday because she plays with this birthday, and she said that she's older than what she is.
Shit, I'm on a live stream right now. We're replaying this down interview. Yeah, I'm on the live stream replaying it down. I ain't gonna lie. Shit, I'm in the video.
Okay, let's see. So we got to figure out what this age is. Now this say this. Now right here, you see where it lies, right? Where she lies, and evidently, she said she was born in 81. I ain't got time to play. I ain't got time to be trying to find shit. Let's see here. Let's see here. We want to do us a keyword search. She was born in 1981. Do y'all see that? What year do that say? This say June of 1980. Okay. June 11th. There we go. Marlena on it. June 11th. There we go. All right, Don Russell in the house. You ready? Let's see here. All right, we got Don Russell in the house. Hold on. Let me flip over here. What's going on, brother Don?
What's happening, man?
It ain't nothing much. We got the people up in here, man. The people that came out to see you and stuff like that. When I put it up, a couple of the ladies, they said that they love you or whatever because you keep it real. So they said they say that's a man right there. He checked somebody. I said, all right, shit. Now he went from Don Russell. Now that's Uncle Don. You understand?
Okay.
But first thing first. The people they already know, but this your first time over here, and I might have a couple of viewers who don't know who you are. So could you tell the people who you are, sir, please?
Don Russell, I guess for the sake of this show, I'm known as R. Kelly's manager, but I will always stand by that. I'm a consultant, agent, and friend first. We go back 30 plus years. We street performed together. Grew up in the city of Chicago. I went off and did Broadway and got into technology, where he went off and chased his dream as the king. It became the king of R&B because of him chasing dreams. And we stayed connected throughout the years. I'm in California now, businessman. I own a tech company and I'm running a restaurant chain right now. That's pretty much it. So that's much as needs to be known. But first and foremost, close friend of Rob, real close ally, and I work directly with him now today. And I'm leading the GO team on getting this case adjudicated properly, and hopefully that'll lead to a road that will lead to his freedom.
Okay. How is Robert doing, to the best of your knowledge? I know that you ain't talking to him every day, but to the best of your knowledge, can you tell us how Robert is doing?
Well, I heard from him directly right after court. That was the last time I heard directly from him. His word was he was doing terribly good. And that essentially means he's doing terrible, but he's handling it.
Okay. And what's the best way that us who say that we are advocates and supporters of Robert, what's the best thing that we could do? You know, I had people that, follow me exclusively. We mailed in over 500 letters to the judges this week alone. So, what is the best way that you see that we can be of assistance to you by proxy, being of assistance to Robert?
That's a good move. I mean, I've been encouraging people. Right now, the contingent of followers that Rob has around the world, they don't have a unified base. The other side went through some extremes to divide us through implanting imposters and just fake operatives, ops, as we would call them, into our fray. And now Kale's Nation is kind of divided. So whereas we would be able to move and force sort of like the Beehive, and I always make reference to that, whenever somebody puts out something negative about Beyonce, the Beehive attacks that publication and they get them to take it down. Well, we haven't been able to do that because we haven't been unified. So therefore, our voices are not, rising as high as they should. So I've been going on the talk show, which is why I'm actually doing your show. And I spoke, listen, as much as I have to do to galvanize Rob's supporters, I'm going to do that because he deserves that. He deserves a fair chance and an opportunity to adjudicate his case on his feet and not on his knees, which is what the media wants to see. So that effort, towards, allowing the judge who openly said it out of his own mouth, I don't know who R. Kelly is. He needs to know who he is. This is not an average person. This is a person who has fans around the world. He's touched many people's hearts and lives. And, just as if it was somebody that he idolized, he would want the person that's making the decision on his life, or that's presiding over the decision that, that could end, up being the most important decision of his life. He would want that person to at least know how many hearts and lives that they'll affect by not carefully handling that situation and looking into it from every different angle and all vantage points. So it's a great effort. I think you should continue to do that. I've advised other bloggers and other talk show hosts to actually do the same thing, to go out, and get those letters in the mail and write them directly to the judge. If we can't get our voices in via Rob's defense team, which they haven't been open to taking on anything from supporters. I mean, they listen to the gossip, they'll get involved with that part. But as far as, putting together a strategy and a plan that has been launched, because we've seen the other side in full force. I mean, they've been attacking in full force since this thing began. And those attacks have led to defamation of character, have led to the annihilation of a brand. And, most importantly, the exhaustion of a man. I mean, he's exhausted right now. So when is our side going to fight back? When are we going to start pushing back? And I'm sure the world knows collectively Rob has more supporters than one journalist who's led the attack to take him down. I mean, so if you look around the world, Rob's supporters in Africa and in Australia and the UK are waiting for us Americans to do something to mobilize the troops in defense of somebody who gave his all to a craft that we all enjoy. So writing those letters and letting the judge know we are paying attention to you is important. That judge needs to know that he's going to be held accountable for any wrong move, any unjust judgment, any not being completely practical and unbiased, when those objections are made, which objections are very important, and even motions are important when they're filed. The objections and motions are what, if we have to go into an appeal, that's what Rob will be able to file the appeal based on how objections are posed and motions are filed. And right now, unfortunately, Rob's defense team is not doing a great job of filing motions, and they haven't objected to anything the prosecution has done. So we can't say that the judge is not being unfair. We can't say that the judge is being unfair, but at least if the judge started receiving those letters from Rob's fan base, people, he would know that the world is watching him as well. And that's important. I'm glad you got the information posted right there on the judge's information. And that's, we should have the judge in New York as well. That's very important. Well, that is New York. I'm sorry, it's Chicago as well. So the Chicago judge as well as the New York judge, both of them are very equally important.
We have flooded the Chicago judge, Harry, I believe it's Harry D. Leaning-Webber, office is on Dearborn Street. I'm not looking at the address right now, but we have flooded, and I am, basically at the head of what I'm calling the brand of R. Kelly Boots on Ground initiative. And we are working, man, to see him get exonerated, because I've seen several problems with this. And I'm just a commoner. I haven't gone to school, haven't gone to law school or anything like this. But some of the common problems that I see is that this case stems from the first 2008 case that came about. And in the 2008 case, what the Los Angeles Times alleges as the key witness was Lisa Van Allen, who essentially lied about her age. The time frames did not match, and you just saw an obstruction of justice with the Assistant State's Attorney, Shauna Boyliker. And then you bring this same person that was essentially thrown off the stand in 2008 and 2019 to testify before the grand jury. And typically the grand jury, those things are sealed, but they can be unsealed if you argue that, hey, these guys, they were unethical in the way that they brought about this indictment. And if you could go and argue against that grand jury, then that's grounds for getting the case dismissed right there. And myself, go ahead.
No, finish.
No, so myself, as well as Marlena, we called the attorneys a few days ago, and we were shut down, and hey, you can't discuss your case openly, but we were bringing different angles, different things to the prosecution. I'm sorry, not the prosecution, but the defense, and they seemed to be uninterested. And I had heard you actually on other platforms talk about how uninterested they were. So could you speak to that, if you will?
Well, I mean, let's just look at some of the things that have happened in the current landscape. You got the lead attorney, which was Michael Avenatti, who he was the spokesman for the destruction of R. Kelly by saying he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison, who's actually spending the rest of his life in prison for defrauding, one of America's top brands in Nike and extorting them. So, I mean, this is it's something as simple as that. It's just cause for, the defense to push the prosecution to look back into the original complaints that were filed. Because, the question could have been if he had received the check, would he have went away? And the answer could be possibly yes. He was extorting everybody. So he's someone that's bent law to facilitate a public execution of someone, and he's a noted, criminal himself. He's serving 40 years now. The other thing that I wanted to address that you stated was that you said you were a common man, and let's just look at something, man. All law was written by common men. It was called common law at first. We all could enforce common law upon anyone that was breaking the law, and just because there's fancy words around it right now, anybody with common sense can realize that the laws that are out there now are the same ones that were created years ago. They just put fluff around them to make them feel inferior to something that people like you and me could force be exercised.
Right. So,
there's nothing that you're doing that someone with a title, lawyer or attorney, it makes no less sense to you than it does to them. You got me all on the same playing field. If you decide to investigate something, that's no different from them investigating. And whatever you come out of that with is based on your common sense of how things should go. So you're doing what you're doing is a just service to Rob, because you're taking your time. You're not being paid to do what you do, and you're diving into presenting evidence and information to the attorneys that have chose to adjudicate his case. As far as his current legal team, Rob's words in this past conversation, when I specifically asked him, "Are you pleased in any capacity with your attorneys?" And it was like, "What can I do about it?"
Well,
and
go ahead.
The answer, "What can I do about it?" means, Rob. See, people have to start realize just because he's a genius in one area, that doesn't make him great in a lot of areas. Just like me, I can sit down behind a computer and make magic happen, but you put me behind a piano and ain't nothing the hell I can do. I mean, so we always assume that because he was such this great musician and powerful, phenomenon in the world, that simple things like understanding the legal process and that he could actually fire his attorneys. He's so scared right now. He doesn't know that that's within his power and his realm to do. The second thing is he knows that his money is so all over the place, and he hasn't controlled his money in years. But he knows that it's so all over the place. He assumes that when I fire these guys, nobody else is going to want to represent me because that's what they've been telling him. When in fact, he would probably get much better representation if he fired those guys, because there's attorneys all over the world that look at this case and they see the injustice and think about it. If you can go in and take this case, and it's not that hard to turn to change the narrative, but the right attorney taking hold of this case and putting a blanket over it would really change the narrative. But that could lead to him seeing freedom a lot quicker than the guys that got adjudicating this case currently.
Okay, and I got kind of two responses to that, because I know that you have mentioned Tom Mesereau, of trying to get him in there, and I've reached out to some people in New York, I've reached out to some people in Chicago, and I got a couple of thoughts about this as I was prepared for this topic today. And one of the things that I was told to some good counsel in New York is that you kind of need somebody in Chicago who knows the judges and who knows how to maneuver around those laws that are specific to that area. And one of the names that was mentioned was a Brown and Mayer of who are in Chicago, and they're real good, and they may be able to effectively adjudicate the case. But the second thing that I wanted to talk about was just the income, the type of income generating, things that maybe, we can do, that we can contribute, because when we do these videos have a reach of 10 or 20,000 people. And if those 10 or 20,000 people can donate $20, then we got $200,000, so to say. And that's enough to pay a retainer to get effective legal counsel, because this case is just, technically the case is written wrong. And if you look at the superseding, you could have thrown it out with article, somebody posts article 236 on the screen from the Department of Justice, to where it says that you can't amend an indictment. Off of that alone, the case should have been tossed out. So, can you speak to some of those things that, we can do? Because we have essentially had several campaigns that said that they were in the name of Robert, and these were basically scams. Doing my research, that people need to report to the FBI. So, what can we do starting today? Like, once this live is over, what can we do today as far as, something for Robert to get effective legal counsel? So.
Well, one, you mentioned Brown and Maynard earlier, and that's I believe that's the law firm that represented him earlier on. And it was a father and son team, and they actually were part of the ecosystem built to steal money from him. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the same law firm. It was Susan Logan on one side of the fence. It was Brown and Mayer that represented Rob, Daryl McDavid, and Joan and Linda, and they all profited off of that. I think Brown and Mayer was that firm. I don't have my notes in front of me, but I believe that they were. But if anybody were to research any of his earlier cases, and that would be, you can do Montina, what's Montina's name? Just if you go to the civil cases that were settled in Illinois, Robert Sylvester Kelly, it'll show the cases that he settled out of Illinois. And I think Brown and Mayer represented him in those cases. So I stay away from those guys. But, what Rob lacks is a legal team, and that's what people don't understand. Like when Greenberg took on this case, I keep saying it was the equivalent of like a traffic stop, for running a red light, and when the officer, Greenberg represents, of course, the officer. Typically, in that case, you write a ticket, but until the plates come back, and then when it comes back that this person has just left the bank robbery, triple homicide, and then they burned down 3 buildings in the process, then what happens next is that you alert, homicide, you bring in forensics and all that kind of stuff, and they take over the case from that officer. But when Greenberg initially took the case, it was just 4 women out of Chicago that had an issue with Rob, and that was the equivalent of a speeding ticket because he had beat it, based on these women being a part of the previous case in 2008. But when it escalated to this, trafficking, this Mann Act violation, this racketeering, and RICO, then that means that's out of his ballpark. He should have transitioned this over to a firm that had a legal defense company that had a team that they could surround him. But what I mean by that is, in any legal battle, you not just want somebody that's a good prosecutor, you need somebody who can get on there and perform well in front of the camera, but you need a great researcher. And you also need a great negotiator. I mean, the researcher is the one that's digging up all the evidence on the other side and opposing victims and things of that nature. The litigator is the one that's standing in front making the argument, and the negotiator is the one who does the prosecution afterwards to say, listen, this is what we're going to stand for, what we're not going to stand for. Let's make a deal. So you need those 3 things on a team, legal defense team, and that's not what Rob has. He's got some gunslinging showmen who want to be in front of the camera, and if I'm mistaken, neither one of them have efficiency rating that's better than my son swinging at the bat for the first time at 3 years old. I mean, so Greenberg was kicked off of Drew Peterson's case because of incompetence, because he didn't pick up the discovery in a timely fashion, and because of his improper filing of motions. And that's exactly the same pattern that he's exercising with R. Kelly. I mean, anybody who files a motion and couples his civil liberties were violated with, oh yeah, he's gonna go live with his 2 girlfriends, you just lose the ability to win the motion based on his civil liberties because of the stupid shit you put in there about him going to live with his 2 girlfriends. So his improperly filing those motions are going to come back to haunt us in the future. They're going to prove to haunt us in the future. He hasn't objected to anything. He should be pushing for a mediation. There's so much convolution around this case with all these women, with the multiple jurisdictions, which he should also be pushing to consolidate the cases. There should be one jurisdiction, meaning the New York and the other state cases should be fought in Illinois. One super, that's where Rob takes in taxes and he lives at. So technically they should have been all pushed to one jurisdiction, and he should have been fighting those cases in all cases in one jurisdiction, not bouncing them all over the place. In multiple jurisdictions. So essentially him having, a legal representative that is more important with getting in front of the camera talking about his new office that he's moving in, and that's not a good thing that a lawyer is moving into a new office in the middle of a trial like this. I mean, because that means he wasn't comfortable where he was for some reason, or he felt he needed to grow. Either one of those is not good for Rob. We need somebody that's kind of solid and stable where they are, and they have everything in place to adjudicate this case. You also spoke about what is it that you guys, what can you do? Right. Right now, as far as contributions, don't send anything to anybody. I haven't seen, and neither have we, have to hold people accountable for the money that we spend. And if anybody's pleased, which I don't think anybody, and I'm telling you, Rob's not, is pleased with what they're receiving in exchange for what the other side is pushing out there, when it's directly, based on his adjudication, then send money. Yeah. But if no one's pleased, and I'm not pleased, I mean, I don't see anything that makes any fucking sense. We haven't gotten any charges dismissed. I mean, it's still the same amount of charges that existed in the beginning. They talking about this research. Okay, well then do a press conference and state that, we're starting to bring in with anything. I've talked to too many people that are character witnesses against Rob that would be that have known him and even close family members, and they haven't even been contacted by his defense team. I mean, I think the last time that the judge, which was about a month ago, they had just recently picked up the discovery. I mean, so let's stop ignoring these white boys looking decent in suits and can talk that language and hold these mugs accountable for what they're not doing. They are serving up another king of our nation, you know, and we're sitting back because they look good in the suit and they claim that they're lawyers and justice of the peace, and we're letting them do it, and we're not holding them accountable. And that's not right now. I think this man's life is in the peril because of, you know, him making decisions that led to mismanagement of his own funds, his career, you know, but he gave the death out of to us what he promised, and that was his. Right. So right now he needs us to do what we can to help him. I mean, and that is, don't send any money, boycott anything that has anything to do with save the money. The opportunity will present itself when we feel comfortable. Don't just send it because he needs lawyers, because Rob needs excellent. Not only does he need excellent lawyers right now, he needs investigators. There's a lot of, you know, when you think about the previous case that he adjudicated, there was a lot of research and investigative work done in that case. Well, it should be actually used to assist in this up and coming case. I mean, have you, the old investigator that pulled together everything, I spoke to him. He has not been contacted. And if you're constantly saying that these are old cases, that's every time Greenberg gets up and speaks, he said these are old cases that were brought back up. Well, why haven't you contacted the old investigator? He already deposed and won. Why haven't you contacted his old attorney? Well, he's got one of them, which I brought him in, Jeff Steinbeck, but the other guy, Gleason, is sick, of course, right now. But Junior, I forgot his name. Why hasn't he been contacted? These guys fought it and won, so you should at least have their strategy and their research in your back pocket to get rid of Jahanda Pace, to get rid of Heather Williams. All these women that are saying that Rob, you know, wronged them in some capacity, which to me he didn't. They fucking groupies, and they were fanatics. They got backstage, and when he left, that's when they got mad, which typically happens. Right. But the old research that was done proves that part. That's one less thing you got to fight. They're not doing anything. Sam Adams Jr., that's right. They're not doing anything to show that we have momentum right now. Correct. There's no momentum. It's like we seeing the Titanic just go fucking down. Ain't nobody with no damn buckets throwing water over the side. Ain't nobody trying to patch the hole up. It's just going down. And unfortunately, when we first started, the hole was about this big. Now it's the size of a goddamn SUV. So, and the guys at the helm think that they're doing a good job. They not. We would feel better if they were. We would be saying something completely different. Like, you know, people would be saying, you know what, he's actually doing a good job. That was a great motion foul. I think that should help. Right. No, right now, his motions are not reaching any sensitivity of any judge that's up there. Because you can't tell a judge that's got any kids that, or a wife or anything, that I'm going to let this man go home to two of his girlfriends and he's 55 years old. That's stupid as fuck. I'm sorry. Dumb, and dumber. So that's the issue that I have right there. But for anybody to put gas in that car, that's just a waste of money. Correct. That's giving yourself a reason to be frustrated tomorrow when another motion is filed and he says, oh, yeah, Rob needs to go home because he hasn't had a massage in 6 weeks and he's thinking about making another Sex Me album. That's just dumb. You don't say stupid shit like that. But he's shown us that that's what he's capable of doing. So why continue to support that? Hold on to the money. If you're going to put it in the savings, put it somewhere so when the time comes that you feel good about who's representing him, you can send that money into that person.
Right. And Greenberg is his lawyer right now. However, Doug Anton had a fund, allegedly. I want to say allegedly. And from this, we have never received a profit statement. None of the funds are earmarked. So if you are on this stream right now, you listening to the playback, I'm going to say, do not contribute to that fund because the money should have been earmarked for a fund that's been going on for a year. None of the funds were earmarked. And also we have, go ahead, Don.
There should be on any site that you're contributing to, there should be a marker there. Every time somebody makes a contribution, you should say XYZ dollars raised towards the R. Kelly Fund. And you should also get a receipt that is a charitable contribution, which means you can file it against your taxes. If you don't see that marker and you haven't received the receipt, chances are some bullshit. That means there's money going someplace that they don't want to have any record of where it came from. So when they take it, you ain't filing it and they ain't filing it. These are things that anybody that should know send the money in. If you're not getting that receipt that you paid that money in, that you can file against your taxes as a charitable donation, and there's no marker to say 600,000, 500,000. We don't know how much fucking money we were raised on that campaign. I mean, all you thinking is your $20 or your $300 and sent in, but he could have raised $5 million fucking dollars right now. Who knows what the number is? He ain't giving us no accounting of what it is. Tell him, you know what? If you raise it on GoFundMe, tell him to turn that page around and let us see what exactly was raised. Right. It don't make sense why people contribute and don't know how much money they pulled together to raise for this man's defense, and that's foolish as hell to me.
And also, there was a problem with that fund with the email addresses being changed, and so send me that link for the FBI because we need to do an investigation into the person. Her name is something Smith. I'm going to put it on the screen right here. I received it. Jocelyn Manicia Smith. So Jocelyn Manicia, and as far as it's concerned right now, his counsel is ineffective, but this is his counsel that we have. And so what we have done, my people, we have done the investigating from a street standpoint. You know, I got over 300 of emails with proof of of things that we have gotten. And what I want people to do is, if you have the information, email it to me. I'm going to print it off and I'm going to send it over to Greenberg. This is public information. I'm going to send it over to him certified. That way we have receipt that he has it. So in case the worst thing in the world happens, that he gets a conviction, then we do have receipt that it was ineffective counsel. We're going to catalog it and
send it to the judge too.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I heard is that as a private citizen, you can't, send information or something like that to the judge.
What you can do is, like anybody don't send one straight document. Anybody sending in can tell about their experience with certain things. So you can say, as a fan of R. Kelly, I know Jahan the Pace or whoever, and I know her to be a person that is manipulated doing this, or I was in an event one day. You can send them your personal experience. Now, if you have some evidence, of course, that should be turned over to Greenberg, but that is a good idea. Send it so that you do know, but also keep a copy of it, because I do believe Rob is going to get a better defense team. I think right now, and I've been telling this to the small team that we have, that's where, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you saying something else?
Hey, man, I'm Trent, man, but go ahead, because the floor is yours, man. I don't, when you come, I ask you to come on the platform, this is your time to talk.
Yeah, I think that he will get a better team. We do have we're working on a plan right now, and I do think that it's a plan to bring all of his fans together globally, and the final stop will be, of course, the United States, because we have to realize the machine that we're up against right now, and the machine that we're up against is tearing anything down, and that means Me Too, that means the media outlets. Jim DeRogatis and those guys who control it, we're up against a powerful machine. So right now, you don't fight, you can't throw stones, at a tank and think you're gonna hurt it. So what we're doing is we're throwing, I advise to keep throwing the stones, but only as a distraction. Keep them busy. We're working on something else right now that we're gonna flank their asses with shortly. Okay. So save all of that, the major support and munitions and stuff like that for this move that we're making. And you'll know that it's right because, our plan is when we come, you've got foreign countries and diplomats and people from around the world saying, listen, we want justice. We ain't gonna stand for nothing but, and it's a gazillion strong, and it's hard to ignore that. And that's what the plan is, because we see right now in this country, they have an agenda. And I don't care how many of us show up, they have an agenda. And they're going to keep pushing their agenda and ignoring our pleas and our calls and our beckonings and everything that we're doing, because they have an agenda. You know what I mean? And their agenda, as part of their agenda, is to bring down, Robert Sylvester Kelly as a man and kill his brand R. Kelly. So it's okay. Keep it going. It's coming. This COVID-19, when things like this happen, and there's a lot of bureaucracy and bullshit that's surrounding this epidemic. Right. You know, everybody's all over the place with trying to understand where it came from and any of that kind of stuff. But there are those of us who takes this kind of time and we use it to get ahead. So this is a pause. Think about it. In every instance, you got to look at the ones who have the good karma. You know, you got Weinstein, who done been sentenced, Epstein, who been in, and then you got this new one, what's the Avenatti, who's been sentenced. Rob case keeps getting pushed back. But that's the universe's way of providing us with the time we need to mount, you know, a strong contingent of fans to come in and stand behind him and force this adjudication to be balanced versus the way it is right now. It's just a continuous attack of him. And anybody who goes forward that tries to, you know, say anything nice, I don't care if you're a celebrity or you know, one of his fans, they attack you. And they got operatives at every level. Down at the bottom, they got the Dana Jays, and up at the top, they got the Jim DeRoe goddesses. I mean, so we have to really be strategic in how we come back against this munition who's actually come up to take him out.
Mm-hmm. And also, everybody who's within the sound of my voice, Dipped in Chocolate has written it right here. I need everybody to go into here for all of these Illinois attorneys. This is the IARDC, and this is where you go and report unethical claims. You report the misconduct of these Chicago lawyers. The Chicago lawyers are Kimberly Michelle Fox. She passed the bar on November the 6th, 1997. You can Google where her office address is. Adrian Marie Cruel. She passed the bar on November the 8th, 2001. Also, we have Abigail Lynn Peluso, 11/8/2007. And then we have Janice Williams Appleton, 11/6/2008. On the playback, we are about 47 minutes, 15 seconds in. Go back to get these names. Please go to this link right here and report the ethical violations that you have seen, such as Kim Fox appearing in Surviving R. Kelly, Part 3 after Lanita Carter. That's highly prejudicial, breaking Rule 8.4, Section G of the American Bar Association. I'm sorry, ABCD. I think that she passed on E, but F and G, she definitely violated that. Rule 5.5, mild jurisdictional practice. How did Michael Avenatti represent people before the grand jury? And he did not have jurisdiction within the domain of Illinois. Rule 3.1, which is meritorious claims as well. And so we need to report these ethical violations that we have seen. Also, in the 2008 case, you had assistant state's attorney who is now a judge who was funneling people over to Susan Logan's, somebody who did a 94 ad within the Chicago Tribune and bragged about how she would get on planes to go back and forth to California just to get her haircut, how she owned 3 houses, spent 4 days a week in Chicago and 3 days a week in Florida, where she owns 75 horses. But somebody who is basically a journeyman, or somebody who basically eat what they kill. How do you have, owning horses? That's something that typically is aligned with residual income and passive income, meaning that you're making money while you're sleeping. And so we need to go and report these things, as how we have prosecutors in the state of Illinois who are funneling witnesses in Lanita Carter, who had a history of every guy who she's been with in a 20-year time span. She has some type of claim against them, some type of child support against them. She says that Robert sexually assaulted, sexually abused her, but we see that she was working with the Lifespan legal team who represents battered and abused women. Her husband, Terrell Carter, I believe that's his name. Terrell. No, I'm gonna get back to y'all, but his last name was Carter, definitely. And she was going through that thing with saying her husband was abusive, filed as an indignant person in that case. In her divorce settlement, allegedly received a settlement unbeknownst to Robert 10 months later, but still filed as an indignant person, meaning that she was receiving Section 8 financial aid meaning that you had to be below 125% of the poverty threshold. Meaning at that time, the poverty threshold was $18,400. So if you receive a $650,000 settlement, you pay your lawyer 35 to 40. You pay your lawyer between 30 and 40%. That's 35. Let's just be fair. And then you pay another 35% because in Illinois, the tax statute is if you make over $312, you tax at a 35% rate. So she would have been left with $195,000, give or take 10,000 either way. How do you file as an indignant person when you are 11 times above the poverty threshold? And this is stuff that we need to bring out of why somebody like this in this case. Okay,
right?
To talk about how.
Listen,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, we need.
I had to pause you, man. I just got goosebumps, man. You know. Hey, listen. Rob would be so proud to know that somebody's taking this kind of energy and putting into, you know, digging deep, man. I mean, you know, you're not being paid to do this. You know, you are the true pinnacle of what, you know, a loyal fan and someone that, you know, that cares about, you know, and the injustices that are going on in this country. So, man, I'm going to make sure I mention to him, man, that there's some people out there, man, that's better than lawyers. And he got a whole bunch of them on his team, starting with you, my brother. I really appreciate what you're doing. And I do believe that what you're doing will move some mountains when this whole thing is said and done, because that is stuff that any attorney should be consulting with you, because you may have, I mean, I don't care about 99% of the stuff that you say, and may be stuff that they know, but the 1% that you're saying that should make the difference in this case is what they need to know. So opening the doors up to guys like you is something I would be just like me right now if I was them on a group chat or YouTube live with somebody every week just to find out those things that I'm missing, because you guys are piecing this case together far more better than his attorneys are. So, man, listen, I applaud you for that.
Well, I found several problems. Like I said, I got 40 documents, every motion. I'm going to go through every motion. And if I have to myself, I will go through and I will write every damn fucking motion that they need for them and make sure that they have it, because this is a black man, and an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So we have essentially a New York indictment that comes down to 3 people. Deronda, somebody we just gonna call her Dolores. That's her middle name.
As real as one.
Okay, yeah. Dolores is her middle name. You know, I don't even want to speak of her. And then we have Faith, Faith Rogers.
Faith Rogers.
And one of the allegations on Faith Rogers is that he gave her drugs and alcohol. He grown ass man, he can drink if he want to. He ain't tell her to go and get no alcohol. She also has a marijuana charge in Breckshore County of San Antonio, Texas. And so that shows that she was already smoking weed a long time before they ever came around. And there is nothing in the discovery that says that, hey, this is a hard crime. You got a bunch of circumstantial shit. Or when you're dealing with people who does 100,000 venues 2 to 3 times a week, it's circumstantial and it's actually highly common. So that's the discovery of her. And you can't, how do you prove a herpes accusation? You can't prove that type of stuff, man. You got Deronda Pace. Deronda Pace has been on Facebook. I lied to him. Survivor R. Kelly, I lied to him. To her own admission, I was done dealing with him. I lied to get into the courtroom 2008. Probation. She was on probation at the time. Came back 2009, was gone till 2010, 2012, Bloomingdale, Illinois. Fake ID, fraudulent possession of a fake ID. I had sent this over to the attorneys yesterday. This is why I say he has ineffective counsel, because I'm just a nigga with common sense and glue. I should know more than the law. They getting paid. Right. If nothing else, they skimming off of the Survivor R. Kelly fund or the dollar for the king, or whatever y'all want to call it. I should not have more information than the attorney. You know.
Well, you know, and just what you said alone, that's something, man, because the state case in Illinois should be gone.
Yeah.
It should be gone, because right there you just read off information that they would use to money. I mean, like when I was first started working with Rob, he was getting these people that were suing him. Everybody knew that all you had to do was prove that you was in the room. Send a lawsuit in, and they would settle out of court. The lawyers would get their cut, and the victim, the alleged victim would get a cut. But Rob would never knew. Rob settled 16 cases that I pointed out to him that he never even went into a mediation with, that he wasn't at the deposements or anything. 16 cases against people who worked for him that filed that his lawyer settled out of court because they had power of attorney. So like you said, with all this stuff that people are pulling up, if you take the state case alone, which was swing momentum, and what we were representing, Rob, the state case was something, it was a civil case. All they had to do was, it was a contract. And if anybody understands how law works, as long as you don't agree to that contract, because the UCC code 1-308 protects any civilian from a contract, from a corporation being able to put you under a contract without your express written consent. So all I had to do was file a UCC 1-308. I do not consent to contract, all rights reserved, sign it and send it back to them. And those cases would have went away. That's what happened with Faith Rogers. We found the first case in New York. We got the case. We sent it back with some of the evidence to show that he did not force her to do anything. We didn't consent to the contract. We sent it back. It got dismissed. It was brought up first by, her name was a female lawyer. Then Avenatti grabbed hold. The lady, Alvarez or whatever, and then Avenatti.
Alvarez, that's
Gloria.
Alvarez's daughter.
No, Gloria.
Gloria.
Was it Gloria?
Well,
Gloria, right, her.
She got a daughter named Lisa Alvarez. It's Lisa something.
Yeah, so it was brought up several times, but if you go back and do the research, the first case was pushed out of court, and they wrote a document on it that we signed it in blood or some stupid shit. No, that was this thumbprint, which is what seals any document. That's the signature. We sent it back to the courts, and they dismissed it. It was when Greenberg started taking on his case that everything started sticking. He started going to jail. But the state case in Chicago should have already been thrown out of court based on just what you just said alone. You go in there, you present that evidence to the judge, you get that thrown out. That swings momentum. That brings momentum back. And you keep knocking off the smaller cases, one at a time, it brings back momentum. Now, the only other thing that makes any sense to me in this is that they're trying to muddy the water. Meaning, you keep all these cases involved, you put all these liars in front of the jury, and the jury gets so, throughout this deliberation, they get so tired of hearing these alphas, it becomes a hung jury. Maybe that's what they plan to do. But even still, they haven't done anything to swing momentum back in Rob's possession, because the state case in Illinois should be done. If you want to muddy the water in the federal case, that's one thing, but the state case, get rid of that. We don't even need that to still exist on his jacket right now.
Right. Well, and we have heard the stories and endless stories. So this is a multifaceted approach. We got to take a layered approach here. And I know that you said, you told me privately that you had, several income generating things. One of the things that I was thinking about is that these people have basically, stolen his music. He said he doesn't own his music. Well, even though he's older, he still sings in key, and vocally he's better after the 2011 throat surgery than I believe he was in the early 90s. Why don't we take the first approach? The first step is getting him out. Step two, can he re-record all of his old music so now he owns his masters, put that under a new publishing company, resell those CDs, and we go out and we buy those CDs. That way we could get around these these campaigns, so to say, of where's the money going. If we could get him on bail, he could re-release maybe 12 play or something, and we could all go out and do that.
Well, that's a strategy, but let me make sense of that. The reason that's not possible, it's not that he doesn't own his master. Rob has every last one of his masters in his warehouse. What he doesn't own is his publishing, and his publishing means anything that he puts out under R. Kelly has to go the money has to be divided a certain way based on, and Rob signed away some of his publishing, not unknowingly, to reel in money for his first trial, to bring in money. He didn't know that he did that. It was a 300-page contract that they read to him, and they said, well, this is what this means, this is what this means. When in actuality, he shouldn't have never had to do that, because he had toured enough to have money setting aside and enough intellectual property and merchandise to be able to pay for that. That's the money that they were stealing. So you can't re-release 12 play under R. Kelly because technically he's got about 4 more years. He'll get it all back anyway. He'll get 50% of the publishing back because that's a law that was written into any royalty situation where after a certain amount of time, the artist gets the 50% of anything that they sold off, they get 50% of it all back. So he's falling within that time frame where he's about to get that back anyway.
Okay.
But Rob got 4 or 5 albums that was not released. He got the 2 albums that he finished for Sony that they were supposed to release, but they dropped them beforehand and began that Sony dropped him. We're planning to launch those records. We've got other stuff, blues records, cartoons, a whole bunch of things that he pulled together, and that's what we're pulling together right now. So we have a plan for that. We just had to get his consent first. Now that we have consent to move forward with certain things, we're going to do that.
How is it that we can buy how can we do a pre-sale or pre-order? Because I'll buy 10 of them today if we could do it.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this personally. Before, when it hits, and you guys will know that it's authentic and it's for Rob because of the way we're designing it. Before it hits, we're gonna go public, and then I'll personally call every blog show that I've been on and let you guys know the support. I mean, you'll know what it's called. I can release the name now because we secured the name, but it's Kale's Nation. So just be ready for Kale's Nation. It's coming soon.
Okay.
And I don't mean the Facebook pages. I mean .com.
Okay. Now, is there any way that, in light of maybe, because I think that the way that you do something effectively is we have people who say that they are supporters, and you don't support in words and YouTube views, but you support in decent actions and putting your dollar behind you. So what is it that we could do today to put some money behind this? Because I believe you either put up or shut up. Well, how can we contribute so that we could get him an effective defense, like immediately, you know what I'm saying, or pretty quickly? Where is it that we can contribute to? What is it that we could do? And if you ain't got the answer right now, that we could work on how to get
this. I don't have an answer for that, but something that I would like to see happen is the bloggers to have a union. I think you guys should somehow unionize. I think it's going to be important that you unionize. I think one day what you guys doing is an intellectual property that people are really going to be intrigued with because you control a lot of numbers. I mean, seriously, you guys control so many numbers globally, not just locally, globally. So if you guys began to unionize, you could be the force that really makes a play. Let's say you set an agenda, you, Texas Diamond, you, Neek at Night, my guys in Chicago, DJ Tyson and Dr. Kowalski. You guys all unionize and come up with certain rules of engagement. So when you guys want to attack, and maybe you elect somebody president or whatever, but whenever you want to go after a specific subject, you guys can be the balance that the world needs. That's what's important right now, creating balance for that media onslaught that whoever they're going to target next is going to need it. They're going to need to be able to call, if they can call the YouTube Streets Union and say, listen, fellas, they're coming after me. I need to move in force because Chicago Tribune is putting out all these fake articles and you guys can unionize all of the rest of the bloggers and them numbers y'all control and attack Chicago Sun-Times. And I don't mean in any harmful way. I mean, if they push, you push back. So that's something I think that you can do right now. One is being patient because you got to move when it's right and it's got to be strategic. But the other one is unionizing. You may control 20,000 numbers, but if you can make a call over to Daboski, if you can make a call over to DJ Tyson, you can make a call over to whomever, say, listen, this is something that's plaguing our community. We need to come together and I don't care what you individually talk about in your point of view when you're on your shows, but we are all pushing the same agenda and the same thing. And if we need to tell our people X, Y, Z, we controlling the street mob. I mean, and that's literally what you guys, I think will be a big move if you take the next couple of weeks and you guys reach out across the board and just the bloggers without they fan base behind them and start unionizing. And you know what I'm saying? And whenever there's a universal message, you all guys know to attack. That is something that's big. That would be huge.
And we doing that quietly behind the scenes. What I'm going to propose right here on this live is we go ahead and just make this I-55 connection. Hollywood next, DJ Tyson, Deboski, Hollywood, you from St. Louis, Deboski, DJ, y'all from Chicago. Take I-55 to get there. We just call this I-55. Phases and Dr. Rogers, y'all like the aunties and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna put that into action starting today. I'm gonna start with it. And quietly, I have talked to Deboski just a few hours ago. Prima Donna, she pregnant right now. We want to give her time to let her go through that process. And once she get through that, if she ready to get back on it, then we'll make that happen when she's ready for it. But let her have her pregnancy and stuff in peace. But yeah, we're gonna come together. We're gonna be a unified unit because if we all are reaching out and we're doing 10, 15,000 views per day. Once we do that and everybody do what they good at, I'm good at this technical piece. I can't do what Deboski and DJ do, and I have told both of them that privately, you know what I'm saying? So I call them if it's something that needs to be done or whatever, if they need to corral the forces, then those are my guys, and then, hey, Phases, you got the biggest reach. I know that you in here somewhere, so if it's something that you got or something that I could be of assistance with, then, reach out to me and get all my information and I'll make that happen. But, I'm working for one common goal, which is the vindication and exoneration of Robert Sylvester Kelly, who was unjustly charged, who they have torn and defamed him. And once he is exonerated and vindicated, I do want to continue on this because I think that he needs to bring a case for lost wages and revenue against the city of Chicago, who has had $7 million in payouts for their misdeeds in last month. And so we need to really go in and we need to tear down that system of corruption that has plagued Chicago since the 1920s with Al Capone and through the 1960s, through the 70s. We need to break that cycle of corruption in that city. And the only thing that people respect is when you take their money. So we need to figure out a way that we could basically do a civil disruption. You know what I mean? We got to figure out how to do something civilly. I'm not encouraging people to break the law, but we do need to figure out how we can do this as a unified force to cause a civil disruption so that we can begin to change this. Because with this case, they are coming and they swinging and they throwing everything that they got. But what we are going to be effective in doing is changing case law. And we're going to stay on their neck because what Greenberg lacks is testicular fortitude, which is a fancy way of saying he ain't got no nuts. So the first time that he came up against them and he brought up Kim Fox and they didn't do nothing, he ran and he tucked his tail between his legs. You got to keep on knocking and keep on banging at that door till somebody listens. And what he is an attack dog for an attorney. Go and get Weinstein lawyer. Shit, somebody go and summons Johnny Cochran from the dead. Goddamn it! We need something to happen so that we can get this ball rolling. But like I say, I'm passionate about this, and I want to know, if what he's worried about is the money, I will be on the fundraising, whatever we got to do. But these people, they not for him, and you have said that on several platforms, and in me reaching out, I said, Don wasn't lying, and that's when I had to reach out to you because I said, shit, that he got some sense. So, but the floor is yours.
All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you, man. It's once again, I don't speak for Rob, but I know if he were aware or sitting in this seat, he would appreciate what you guys are doing as well, because I do believe that time will come. And as long as you guys are ready for that moment when it comes, man, you're going to be able to do a lot. I've seen it. I've seen small things, a lot of small things move mountains. I mean, so continue to do what you're doing, man. Anytime you need me to call in and give y'all some insight on how you're doing or whatever, it's fine. I'm gonna keep you informed of of things that we're doing on this side of the fence when those platforms are going to be dropping. That Kales Nation can go register and be a part of it. There's an organization forming right now called Justice for All Americans that I've heard about that will be coming on board to depose these so-called accusers and stuff like that and put some of their business out in the streets. So there's so many different things that I feel that Rob is the one that's strong enough to wake up, certain movements, to start certain movements, to do things that have not been done before because people are passionate about him. He'll have a lot of babies made off of him. And that's part of his problem, unfortunately. It's like, right now, I keep saying the world is in this mode where they're trying to decrease population. They're putting out bad water, bad food, the air is bad. Every damn thing that we take is bad and it's killing us. Now we got a corona epidemic killing thousands by the day. When you turn to the music and movie industry, the music industry, Rob Music, every time he drops an album, 1 million babies are born. So, I mean, he's against the global agenda right now, which is decreasing the population. So you got to look at that, and that lets you know the size of the machine that we're fighting against and why so many media keeps attacking him on a daily basis. I mean, so, we have to be just as equally strategic in our pushback. We have to get like we were years ago when we hit the underground tunnels to freedom. And we have to kind of form that again right now, because if we don't, whoever they choose to next, they're going to come after them and take them down, and we won't have anything in place to fight or push back. We'll continue to lose in our great ones, the ones that a lot of them help write this country's, the reason people want to come to this country, and they still in their culture. They're still in their culture and kicking them into the trash can like, they didn't contribute to the world that people want to be a part of, which is America. I mean, so what you're doing is a great service, man. You're a patron of justice, and that's good. I think people with that heart and that mindset will continue to serve in certain areas that are vital today, to uphold, the fabric that we all enjoy every day. That's that free will to be able to do things like this, to listen to the kind of music we want, to put our kids in whatever we want to. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Whenever I can call in, I don't have a problem with doing it. You down in St. Louis, right? Missouri?
Yeah, St. Louis, yep.
Yeah, well, I know you got listeners all over. Listen, Rob Love, I think that was one of the last, we went to Missouri about 1.5 years ago. We had a great time at that little cigar shop down. I forgot where it was, but we had a lot of great people. I mean, right now today, people from that tour are calling, asking how do we support the mission, and everything, man. So St. Louis is a great place, man. We appreciate you calling in. And as long as we got more St. Louis, folk like yourself, man, we'll be fine.
Yeah, man.
So, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'll be doing the best. Well, I got something that I want to say is that, hey, we don't want to, and I'm speaking to the people, we don't want to do anything that can be considered harassment. But if you have any information on these victims, we want to start a hashtag Kills Justice, and we want you to post the information that you have on these accusers,
right,
under the hashtag of Kills Justice right now.
Let me say another thing that people need to focus on, because even Greenberg alluded to this the other day when he was on Court TV, which is he's up against racketeering, and this is the most uncommon way that they use that law to come after a person. Right. The racketeering charge will have nothing to do with the Honda Faces and the Face Rogers of the world. The racketeering, the RICO, and the trafficking charge, I think it's trafficking, racketeering, RICO, and Mann Act. Those charges will specifically come from Rob's inner circle. And that is Linda Mintz, Joan Sullivan, Daryl McDavid, Barry Hankerson, DJ Phantom, Diane Sullivan, Artie, don't remember his last name. Yeah, right. Frank Gaston. Who am I missing? I said Joan and Linda, yeah. Daryl McDavid, even Wayne Williams. those are the people that have. I'm sorry, and June Brown, right? June Brown, Milton Brown. Those are the people that have turned over information and created this hostile environment where people in Rob's own camp were pissed off at him, and they overlooked and turned their cheek on a lot of malicious activity that was taking place so that they could steal. The best way to steal something is to keep the shit messy. When you keep it messy, can't nobody see where the books are. It's not organized, so you can't see what things are supposed to be sitting. I'm sorry, and I forgot the name to the most notorious one, John Holder and James Mason.
Okay. Yeah.
So those are names of people that we need people to dig up, because those are the ones that are the witnesses behind the racketeering. See, the girls are smoke and mirrors.
Right.
But the names that I just mentioned are the people that have turned in evidence of certain things that made people feel that Rob instructed them. He was the mastermind of a criminal operation, which is impossible. Right. I mean, if you've ever seen this guy in the studio and shit, the way he played basketball, smoked cigars, and ate food, he had very little time for that other shit. So, and as many hits as he got, you know what I mean? Not just his hits, but hell, he got hits for every damn body. Right. So those names need to be dug into, because those are the people that had malicious intent, but also motive to make it seem as if he was heading a criminal operation. With the money that's missing, $900 million that's been missing from his bank accounts, those are the ones that stole it. And I think I didn't say Sharon Logan, Jim DeRogatis, Brown and Maynard. All those folks are responsible for stealing this money from him and building and planting these landmines in the road that's now exploding in his face, which was the moment he learned that all this thievery and shit was happening.
Okay. And also, you know, I got a board right here too.
I think I said Cheryl Mack. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna get past that. Okay. Thank you for writing this right here. So we got, you know, is Kevin Giles?
No, not George Kelly. Take that down, Uncle Bug. It's Milton Brown. I said June. It's Milton Brown. John Holder. Yep, those are the names. Courtney. Yep. So Kelly. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is Kevin Giles in there? Because we see a Jocelyn allegedly.
Kevin Giles was Kevin Giles is an ally. He's an ally, but you can put Kevin. He had nothing to do with the takedown. He's actually somebody that we're using to pull the story of what everybody did to him. He's an ally.
Okay, ally. Okay. All right. Then we got James Mason, and that's how we get Jocelyn there. Okay. And as far as with Jim DeRogatis, what happened?
You got Daryl Johnson too. James Mason brought in Daryl Johnson, the last publicist that he had, Crisis Manager. Who lied and said he was Bill Cosby's guy.
Okay. Now, what did he do to Jim? I call him Jim DeRogatis. What he do to Jim DeRogatis? You know, we want to know.
Jim DeRogatis he came with Barry Hankerson years ago. He used to do a lot of good reporting on Rob, but when Rob fired Jim DeRogatis, when Rob fired Barry Hankerson used Jim DeRogatis to put out those first tapes against Rob. Okay. Jim DeRogatis was a writer for the Rolling Stones. That's where he started. He wrote an article. He wrote a book called How to Kill Your Idol, but he also did an article on one of these famous rock bands, and the lead singer killed himself behind that, and they kicked his ass up out of New York. If anybody saw the movie Hurricane Carter with Denzel Washington, there was a police officer by the name of Della Pesca, and throughout the Hurricane's entire career, Della Pesca was this ruthless fucking, police officer who was, of course, prejudiced, who destroyed his career. With Della Pesca represents the same thing that Jim DeRogatis does for Rob. Same thing.
Okay, and because one of the things I noticed about Jim DeRogatis is that none of these, no major news platform was actually gonna print any of these lying ass accusers before they went to Jim DeRogatis on July 17, 2017. Like nobody wanted to report this, which is a major oversight. And then we had TMZ that know that this is bullshit. And you know, because they still talk to Joycelyn and they still will print Joycelyn's stories favorably, which lets me know that they know something. But you know, why is it that no major news platform would really pick them up before BuzzFeed, which is a Jim Derrideus site, and also I think it's the Blast, which I think that they're affiliated with BuzzFeed somehow, and this guy by the name of Ryan Newman, where anything that happens in this case, they make sure that they print it negatively and untruthfully. So, you know, could you kind of give me, I know you don't got a straight answer, but could you just give me your best speculation on why nobody was picking this up before BuzzFeed?
Well, it's two things. One, BuzzFeed was one, but the Chicago Tribune is another one. Jim DeRogatis works for the Chicago Tribune, and his wife is the head editor there. So you got to realize how these papers work. You have these papers work in the capacity that when you put something on the wire and it comes from a trusted source, all the rest of them run with it. So if you use the Daily Beast which is somewhat of a trusted source, but if you use the Chicago Sun Tribune and the Tribune puts something on the wire, the other publications run with it. And that's all Jim DeRogatis has done. A lot of folks are not really doing the research, but because it came from the Chicago Tribune, it must be official. So that's what they're doing. And he's abusing his journalistic moral compass, you know, for his own personal selfish endeavors right now. And of course, the universe will get back at him for that later on. But some people ask some questions about a few names with inside Rob's camp, and this is what I'll say. You know, anybody that's not directly, testifying against him that I know for a fact, everybody in this camp stole from him. But certain people in this camp did not lead to what's going on with him today. And the names that were just asked about, I think Will was one of them, and then his Uncle Bug. They stole money. All of them did that shit. But none of them are participating with the other side to hang him. They're not doing anything to help him either, which I don't like that shit. But, they're going to have to deal with that on their own. But they ain't doing nothing to hang him.
Okay. Now, are you guys looking into criminally Attorney Gerald Griggs? Because to me, you had Tim Savage, who's basically just a common country ass nigga for real. And then once he gets with Attorney Gerald Griggs, then all of a sudden it goes from R. Kelly to Robert Sylvester Kelly, which is, very cunning because now you have separated the star from the man. And so, with him, he essentially went on the men's locker room, Pastor Jamal Bryant, and ran you through the process of how you take something where there was no crime and essentially make it a crime. So if somebody can look up the unethical complaints line for Georgia for me and put that in the chat, I appreciate it because we need to write in on him too. But could you answer to, if y'all looking at Gerald Griggs anyway?
Have they sent some money, you said?
No, Attorney Gerald Griggs, he was on the men's locker room, and essentially what he did was go through the process of how when Tim Savage came into his office, that there was no crime concerning his daughter there, and then they went and made it a crime. So are y'all looking at him?
Yeah, but you know what? That's the low hanging fruit that really that's easy to win. I do not consent to contract 1-308. Send it back, all rights reserved with a signature on. You can get rid of those. If he had lawyers that gave a shit, that would be real simple to get rid of those civil cases. So I don't want people to waste time on the small stuff. If we focus on those federal cases, then and doing what we can to, and Tim Savage is a knuckle. He's going to end up in jail by the end of this, and so is Asriel's father. I wouldn't pay any much attention, and they done broke so many laws in this shit, it doesn't make any sense. Part of the reason the prosecution is pushing back is because they're so interwoven into the bullshit that it's hard to take them out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, but that racketeering is not stemming from Tim Savage or Angelo Carey, and I don't want people to continue to focus on these smoke and mirrors. Tim Savage, Angelo Clary, they're idiots. Their cases hold no fucking weight. And that's not what's going to send Rob to jail. What could send Rob to jail is if we don't focus on the federal case in this racketeering, this violation of the Mann Act, and this RICO. And that is from the names that I just mentioned to you. Those people are the ones that we have to prove motive. Like Daryl McDavid represented Sinbad, and he stole money from him. Of course, he did the same shit to Rob. All those things is what we need to focus on and start gathering that intel. So when the proper legal team is assembled, that intel can be pushed on, from the head of the bloggers committee or the unionized bloggers committee. You can deliver in one, all you guys can deliver envelopes to the defense team that will aid Rob in adjudicating racketeering. Let's not worry about, these young ladies that's accused, because everybody and their mama got dirt on them. So he's not going to jail for that. Okay. What he could possibly judge these people that were inside who stole all that money. And when it was found out by him that they stole, he went after them, and they started lying to Homeland Security about him. That's what you need to focus on.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down. And they want to know, the people want to know if you are in. I don't even want to ask you this shit, but people want to know if you are in the indictment.
Hell no. I wouldn't be able to be talking to you if I was in the indictment.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Anybody who you see talking, they are not in the indictment, because all these people who are threatening, I'm gonna go and tell this on Rob, I'm gonna go and threaten this. Look, when you go to the feds, you either tell everything or you tell nothing at all. You can't say, I'm gonna give you this amount of information this day, and I'm gonna go and give you a little bit more later. Either you're gonna go and tell the feds everything, or you're not telling them anything at all. They don't.
Well, let me say this. I've been knowing Rob, since we were kids, but I just started working for Rob a little over 2 years ago. Everything that they bring up against him has been done before then. I came in to unravel the bullshit, not to add to it. I mean, it was like I rolled up my sleeves to put my shit on hold because of what he was going through. And he said, Don, I need your help. My career's in the toilet. These people are, doing this. They're stealing it. I don't trust no damn body. I was a familiar face from his childhood that was successful in his own right. And that's how I got into this. But it wasn't that I worked with him in any of these capacities in the past. And the reason a lot of people don't like me is because I was finding out they bullshit. I was finding out how they were stealing. I mean, so, that is what that is. But, so no, I'm not. The feds already took my phone. They cracked into my Gmail accounts and all that shit, and when they saw that I just came on board, it was like, well, we can't put him in any of that other shit. But the biggest thing is if they were to read anything that I was sending to him, it was uncovering the chaos that has existed in his career since day one.
Okay. Now, it was allegedly said at the last bail hearing that he needs to hire a private investigator to uncover some of the stuff of which they had found, which, under the Brady rule and Brady doctrine, they're ethically bound to turn that over via Brady. And so, have you heard that? Did you understand that? Because at this point, it's just conjecture. But have you heard the same or similar things?
No, well, anything in regards to Rob's case, I've kind of turned my energies off on, because I realize that, one, he's got some idiots who's going to allow anything to happen, any and everything to happen to him. Two, they don't give a shit to hear anything I got to say. So let me focus on something that I know I can be effective in, and that's raising him the capital that he needs to, when the time comes, gets the attorney that he deserves. And so he can fight the Stephen Tree. So I haven't paid attention I stopped going to court when he started letting anybody show up and walk in there with him. So I don't want to be seen amongst certain people, period. In the earlier days, hell, he was getting out of my car. I was right there standing next to him in every instance. But, certain things around revolving the theater of court, which is nothing but a circus show, and he's paid attention to that. I can't give you any insight on that because I'm not paying attention. My focus right now is to get this money, get him this money that he needs to adjudicate his case properly. Okay. And get the investigators that he needs to go out here and really dig deep and use some of that, that Inspector Gadget spy technology that me and you ain't got access to.
Right.
So that's what we need. Right.
Now, in me doing his research on him, I studied everything about him from MGM all the way up into present day. Shit, I even got this Lena McLean's book right here because
wow,
I research everything. So one of the things that I've noticed is that when Jive dismantled about 2011, and then they rolled into RCA, which was basically under the umbrella of Sony, then it doesn't feel like he was getting the same promotional push, and basically they had shelved him. And one of the things that I heard you say on another platform is that he had gotten too big for a label. So, can you kind of speak to that a little bit or go in further detail on that, please?
Well, that was the Rolling Stones. I did an interview with the Rolling Stones magazine. That's what I said that. And that was when we were separated from the label. Rob had 2 records he owed, and they decided to drop them. With some money on the table that was owed, they decided to forgive that as well. But when you think about an artist of Rob's magnitude, we had movies he had wrote. I got books he wrote. I got some child movies and cartoons and some gym shoes he created. He's like a content fulfillment machine. So I'm like, Rob, the deal that you have only caters to your music abilities. We need to be with a company that can put out your movies, your books. You can be like a content fulfillment center, meaning anybody who needs, a movie done, a play written, a book, whatever, they can send it in, and we can train the next generation up on how to create as if you have. Teach them some of your tactics and methodologies. So we had already decided to cut, the stepping away from RCA was a good thing for both companies because they don't have those other elements to push things, and then the amount of money he was losing with them just didn't add up. So, and it was just so convoluted, and everybody was dipping into his world. When we looked into his portal with Universal with RCA, the Sony portal, everybody, they had 5 different RSK enterprises set up, and everybody was getting the cut of it, and his cut was like so small, it was stupid. The performance and mechanical royalties. And RCA didn't give a shit about, I'm sorry, let me retract that. It's not their position to care about what's happening when they hit the enter button with a person's money, period. So I said, we decided putting together a platform that we would use to put out his future material that he would, and we got inspired by that through what Chance is doing and a few other artists. Prince was the first one actually did it. He put out that website and launched an album under Symbol. But we got inspired. We said, let's do this one, put out this platform that you can launch your music on, but also future artists can come in and launch their brand and their music onto it and not get ripped off the same way you did. So that was essentially what we were building at the time when shit hit the fan, should I say. So yeah, so he was real passionate about no one else going through what he went through. And we had actually just bought a building, which is why he walked away from the studio. And the building sits in Chicago on the west side, and it's 48,000 square feet. We were going to build this content fulfillment center there. And he had the next generation of artists. He was going to train them up and teach them his recording techniques and production techniques and things of that nature. And that's what we were gearing up for his next go around. So we was moving out of the realm of making the music be his number one thing and for to put him behind the scenes. And that's what he really wanted to do anyway.
Okay. Can you speak about his affinity for his children? In doing my research on him, I got to study everything. I noticed that his daughter, his middle child, she's good, as far as the music that she's putting out and stuff like that, so he speak on kind of what he
there's certain lines that I don't cross in talking about family, which is why I pushed away from George and those guys that are family. I don't want to dive into that. That's personal. But his family business is that. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Let's answer some questions. Can y'all post my number in the chat room? We want to remain respectful at all times. How much time do we got left with you, Mr. Russell.
Man, I'm about to give y'all about 5 more minutes, and I got a break, man. My girl tripping. I've been neglecting her for the last month.
I sure understand that. So, well, I used to understand that when I had an assistant.
Huh?
I said I know what you're talking about. I used to go through that same thing when I had an assistant. Look, y'all call in if y'all got a question for Mr. Russell. He's only gonna be on for about 5 more minutes. Y'all. So we need a good question for anybody that want to call in. The number is right there on the screen. Hey, how you doing? You called into the Opinionated News Network. This your host Trent. You got a question for Mr. Russell?
No, I just got a statement right quick. I'm the one that put the question in to ask Tell Donald to clear up that he's not in the indictment. And the reason why I kept repeating that is because last night on the other side show.
Well, let me
the story that they're gonna change the narrative.
Ma'am, we answered that question already. Ma'am, we already answered that question.
Hey, I don't even know that part. That's a Dana J night. That's somebody from Dana J. Just cut that off.
Now I'm going to skip in the blogger.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right, whatever. That's 403. Here we go, right here. Look. All right, look. How you doing? You on Opinionated? You got a question for Mr. Russell?
Hello?
Yeah. Turn down your background. You got a question for Don Russ?
I want to know if Jason is to live in by himself.
That's his personal business. We asked him about a question for Mr. Russell. We're gonna move on to the next call. How you doing? This is Opinionated. What's your question for Mr. Russell?
I don't have a question. I just want to let him know, and you, it was a nice live, and everything he's saying is on point. It's my side, and we all got to get together. We got to do this. Y'all get a whole nother aftermath of the bloggers. Y'all get y'all inbox emails together and work together. People gonna disagree, but y'all work it out. You don't need to do all. Everybody needs to know all when y'all disagree. Y'all work that out. That's all I wanted to say. Y'all doing y'all thing, and let's get this. Chaos Nation down 100.
All right.
And think about the next thing.
Okay. All right, so you going or you got time for one more?
Let's do one more.
Okay. Give me one more good one. If it's on some gossip, then I'm gonna hang up. How you doing? You live on Opinionated with co-host Don Russell. What's your question, Colin?
Yeah, this Omar. But yeah, I noticed that the main thing that's really a big challenge is that they're damaging his public image. And as far as the jurors are concerned, potential jurors, the public image is very important. So do you have any, this is for Don, do you have any plans rolling forward to help his public image? Like some type of media blitz or anything?
Yeah, that's what the whole thing that we're working on now overseas. I mean, and the reason I stress overseas is because the machine that here is so powerful, it takes so much to overcome it, and we've got to get those numbers up. And we can't get the numbers up locally. So we got to go over there where he's got a strong contingent of fans in Africa, UK, Australia, China. I'm sorry, I mean China right now. But he's got fans there too. But anyway, we got to pull those guys so we can come into the United States game that's coming with us to support the narrative that we want to push for him is strong. So that's it. But this is a time when we're building that contingent right now. And that's also why I'm coming on these shows to galvanize his local supporters through the bloggers and asking them to mobilize and unionize together. So when we do arrive with that contingent of fans, the bloggers are the first one to step up and say, listen, we the ground troops, we're going to march it in, and now we got air support and everything else. So it is going to take a global effort. And I think more people can stand behind the mission if they can't stand behind the man. The mission is powerful. We cannot continue to let the media publicly execute our celebrities and our icons and our stars and our brothers, to be frank. So that's something that we are working on right now.
Okay. All right, thanks, Carl, for calling in. All right, Mr. Russell, we know that you got to get out of here.
Yeah, man.
So I appreciate you for coming on, man, for accepting my call first, returning my call, because, I ain't nobody. But I appreciate you for coming on to the platform and giving me, almost 2 hours of your time. You certainly didn't have to do it. If you need an advocate, for, the brand of R. Kelly down here in St. Louis, I'm your guy. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, man, anytime that you want to come back on the platform, man. You are welcome.
I appreciate you, brother. And I had fun. This is really a good one. I think it's going to move mountains.
Oh, yeah, the playback on this is going to be amazing. So, man, thank you. Can y'all please show Mr. Russell some love for coming on, please? And I appreciate you, man. I like to say for accepting the call and coming on, man. And we gonna work and do what we got to do to get that legal counsel up out of there. So thank you, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Take it easy, man. All right.
Sir. All right. So, all right, y'all. So.
Yes, to your will. Yes, to your way. My soul says yes. In the morning, yes. In the evening, hello. My soul says yes. Yes. Every day I learn to say yes.
Okay.
Come on, man, Lord, my soul, my soul says yes. To your way, my soul says yeah. In the morning, Yes. The Lord said, when you go, yes. When you don't feel like it, yes. Show up, show up, show up, show up, I will go. Show up, I say yes. Yes.